Happy to do that. Thank you, Martin. So I am Peter Verhoeven, and I'm working for DNV.GL. For those who haven't worked at DNV.GL before, we are a global assurance and risk management company, and our vision is to tackle global transformations such as the energy transition, and the sectors we serve are maritime, power and renewables, and the oil and gas sector. And if you're interested in the whereabouts about the energy transition, I'd like to recommend to go to the website of dnvgl.com/energy transition. There's a very nice report on the energy transition outlook, where our experts give a forward-looking perspective on the energy situation till 2050. And I think that's a very interesting report. And today we're going to talk about the Lynx use case for geothermal energy. To give you a bit of a context where we all started, I think at the start of the Lynx project, our aim was to find a use case where we could demonstrate how these emerging knowledge graph technologies and semantic technologies could add value to a topic like the energy transition. We strongly believe that the next decade will be even more important to develop and implement new sustainable energy technologies in order to reach the Paris Agreement. And our assumption was that technology adoption is a key mechanism which is largely influenced by policy advancements by the EU and its member states. So there will be likely some increased dynamics in new legislation and regulation for example, geothermal energy, but also wind energy, hydrogen, solar PV. And in this industry, all the stakeholders need to be aware of the latest whereabouts of the legislation and the regulation, of course. The second assumption, can we go one back, please? Martin, sorry. I think in a broader perspective, we believe that these information technology could also help professionals in this industry to unlock value from unstructured data sets. So we see a lot of repositories about, for example, industry best practices on safety and environmental risks scattered around Europe in different languages. And with this technology, we'd like to demonstrate that it can be combined and we can create intuitive, like single point of access platforms to get access to this this knowledge. Please go ahead, Martin, to the next slide. So what is geothermal energy? For those who don't know, so geothermal energy is about thermal energy that's generated and stored in the earth. And with a geothermal energy plant, you inject cold water into the earth, and you pump heated water back out, and that energy can be consumed either directly or converted into electricity. And here there's a small map of Europe where you see that the potential, the thermal potential, which is quite significant. It is already an historic picture I see. With the new advanced drilling techniques, there's even more potential possible. So it's a very promising sustainable energy alternative, which will help us to decarbonize our economy. Please go to the next slide. Yes. So if you look at building a geothermal energy plant, this is a very interesting picture that's being developed by the International Renewable Energy Agency. And it's really telling the story about how much time it takes before you really can start producing heat. And it's in this picture, you see that you have 6 project phases before you start generating revenue, where you can make up your loan. And in this initial phase, we see there's a huge risk profile for these projects. So it's very complicated to, for example, get a good loan where you're paying high interest rates, because in general, the risk profile of a geothermal energy project is high. And all the stakeholders involved, you see the little circles at the right of the slide, all these stakeholders need to be aware of the latest insights in legislation and regulation, and for example, on permits, in order to be sure that they don't have any surprises in the initial phases of their project. Let's go to the next slide. Yes, so our goal with the Lynx use case was to think about, okay, how can we help geothermal energy practitioners to gain better insights in an overview of regulatory information. And what we're all about to demonstrate is how the demonstrator works and how a keyword search can be used to retrieve validated and relevant information, but also a recommender where you can use a document where you're currently working on, for example, a PDF document, to get some more enrichments and an exploratory view on legislation, regulation, and best practices. So we can start the demo. It was pre-recorded for just to make sure that everything works, but it's a live demo.
Welcome to the live demonstration of the Lynx pilot for geothermal energy. Let's bring up the browser and go to the demonstration page. Here we are. So as you can see, this is the landing page of the geothermal energy pilot for Lynx. And for this webinar today, I would like to highlight two functionalities. So first we have search. And the search engine is straightforward using a keyword search. Or imagine you're a engineer looking for information on drilling, and you submit the drilling keyword, and here you go. The search result presents you a handbook of best practices for geothermal drilling. Now, if you hover over with your mouse, you see that you can directly link to the original source of the document, and there's a short summary of the document to help the user to judge whether this result is relevant to him or her. So search is helping the user to find relevant information from the document manager, which contains a subset of validated documents. Now let's go to back to the landing page and have a look at the recommender, because I think it's fair to say that the recommender really encapsulated all the technologies that have been developed during the Lynx project. And the recommender takes as a starting point an engineer or a person who has a specific task and has a document that describes something about that task. That could be a scope of work document or a permit, but anything that's related to the task at hand. So imagine you're creating a planning for your geothermal energy initiative, and you'd like to understand, okay, what are the type of regulatory constraints or perhaps permits that have been applied near or close to the region that I'm intending to develop a new geothermal energy plant. Now, let's have a look how that works. So I've created a sample document, a PDF document. Let's open it here, and you just see it's a very simple PDF document with some English text describing geothermal energy opportunities in the Netherlands. And let's close that and let's drop that in the recommender. Here we go. And you see the spinning wheels indicating that it's being processed and enriched at the moment, and the recommender result page is being generated. Here we go. Now I would like to highlight a couple of elements in the recommender result page. Starting with the left column, you see the content that was originally in the document that we submitted. And the content includes highlighted concepts at the moment. And that's really from the source of the knowledge graph. So in a knowledge graph, we have described the domain of geothermal energy. And it could be including technologies, including types of stakeholders, including regions is of course very important, and the recommender service first crawls through the document and recognizes all these terms and categorizes these concepts. Now here at the top right you see a small legend with the clusters of categories that are currently used in this demonstrator. for example, geo names. Well, let's scroll down. You get a feel for the results. Here you see the Netherlands as, of course, a geolocation, but also provinces, South Holland and the north of Holland are examples. Now, based on the fingerprint that's generated for this document, the recommender can present or recommend documents in various categories. Now, let's have a look at the permits. And what happens in the permits tab is that it really presents all the permits that the recommender thinks are most relevant based on what it knows about the input document. So the fingerprint of this input document is being used to present these results. It could be because there's a term used about a technology, but in most cases it's about proximity. So how close is it to a geolocation that we've recognized in the document? Now here you see an example of a regulatory document which is close to Utrecht, which is a municipality in the Netherlands. And in this recommended result card, you see also a lot of the Lynx services presenting their results. So first and foremost, you see the title of the search result, also including with a link to the original source. But you see an icon here at the right indicating that the content has been translated from Dutch to English. So here you see that the title is in Dutch, but the short summary here at the below is in English. So we have used machine translation to translate the summary of this document from Dutch to English, enabling a broader range of users, so also the non-Dutch speaking community, to understand or to judge whether this document is or not relevant to the task at hand. So we believe that with this functionality we also overcome language barriers in Europe, where most of these permit application documents are perhaps written in the local language.
Okay, I hope the audio is back on. So I hope you enjoyed the demo. If you go to the next slide, Martin. Yeah, so this is just a summary. I hope the demonstrator conveyed our thinking about how this functionality can help connecting various information and information sources to benefit practitioners in geothermal energy, but also in adjacent domains where technology adoption will be a challenge. And therefore we can probably create single point of access platforms to relevant information for the industry. And if you're interested to learn more about this specific use case, there's some very nice publications on the website of the Lynx project. I've included the URL. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, my contact details are in this slide. So please feel free to contact me and we can talk about the demonstrator. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. That was a really great introduction into the use case and also into showing the demonstrator. I think it's very useful for energy consultants. And I think that's also the idea, right? That energy consultants at DNV.GL can then support projects in the area of geothermal energy to provide the information and the thing they need for their daily work and to better plan these projects.
But also our clients, of course.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you very much. So get in touch with Peter if you have more questions. And also in this direction, I'm sure Peter is happy to set up a call or a demonstration together with you to dig deeper. Thank you very much. So.